What's up, folks? I'm Dwayne.
I'm Alicia.
And this is Blackboard Gaming, where we teach you about all these great board games that are out there,
waiting to be played by you and yours.
I'm a simple man, don't want a complication.
Hey everybody! Today, we're going to tell you about a game called Harmonies.
Harmonies was designed by Johan Benvenuto and published by Libellude. I hope I'm saying that right.
Let's go to the table for an overview of how this game is played.
Harmonies is an open drafting pattern building game for 1 to 4 players, where the players are placing colored tokens and creating landscapes in order to attract wildlife. As part of setup, we will place the central board in the middle of the play area on the side for the 2 to 4 players. On the other side is the side for the solo play. And then we will fill up this pouch with all 120 of the wooden tokens and place it next to the central board. Then we will fill up each of these 5 spaces with 3 tokens that were randomly drawn from the pouch. Next, we're going to shuffle up this deck of 32 animal cards and then reveal 5 into a face-up display next to the central board, keeping the draw pile nearby. And then we're going to place these animal cubes in reach of all players. Each player is going to get their own personal board, and then the players are going to choose which side they're going to play on. So you got the A side and then you got the B side. For the first game, you would use the A side. They're also going to get one of these reference cards, and you want to make sure that the side of the reference card matches the side that you're playing on, because there are different ways to score the tokens when they're placed on the board, which we're going to get into in a little bit. Then the last player to have seen a magnificent landscape is going to be chosen as the first player, or they could just choose the first player randomly, and now we can start the game. Starting with the first player, which is shown by the direction of this arrow on the central board, and going clockwise, each player is going to take a mandatory action, and then there are 2 optional actions they can take, which I'll get into those optional actions in a little bit. But the mandatory action is they're going to take all 3 of the tokens from one of these 5 spaces on the central board and place those tokens out onto their personal board. So let's say the first player decides they're going to take these 3 tokens here. These tokens can be placed onto any empty space out onto your personal board. And these tokens have to be arranged in specific ways in order to score points at the end of the game, which is explained by this reference card. But now I'm going to go over how each of these different tokens are scored. The green and the brown tokens represent trees. And so this one would be 1 point because it's just a bush. This one that has 1 wood token, of course, that's the trunk. That's a small tree. That's going to be 3 points. And this one, a tall tree, is going to be worth 7 points at the end of the game. Now, if you have one of these that has no green token on top, that's going to be worth 0 points. The gray tokens represent mountains, and they pretty much score the same way as the trees in height, but they have one difference. They have to be part of a chain, which means they have to be next to each other or part of a mountain range. So at the end of the game, this small mountain will score 1 point, this medium mountain will score 3 points, and this one stacked 3 high will score 7 points. But this guy over here, even though it's 3 high, it will score 0 points because it's not part of a chain. The yellow tokens represent fields, and you can't stack any other token on top of these. So the way these score, for every grouping of 2 or more, I will score 5 points. So if this is what the fields look like at the end of the game, that's going to score me 5 here, 5 here. That's going to score me 10 points. But let's say early on, I added this there, then that's still going to score me 10 points. 5 here and 5 here. But let's say I put this one down here and was able to add that there, then I get 5, 10, 15 points. These red tokens represent buildings, and the buildings have to be stacked too high. They can be stacked on the wood base or a mountain base, or let's just say that's clay, and they could be stacked on the clay base. So now these buildings, each of these buildings at the end of the game will score 5 points if they're surrounded by 3 or more different colored tokens out on the board. So let's say this was here, and I had this here and this here. So this building would score 5 points because you got 3 different tokens. This the same way. Now this one will be scoring 0 points unless I get 3 different colored tokens surrounding it. And the blue tokens represents water. And you can't stack tokens on top of these tokens. And you're trying to build rivers on side A. And you're going to score points at the end of the game for the shortest path. So if you look here, this right here will score 11 points at the end of the game. Because that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This would not count because it's not part of the shortest path. If I was playing on side B, instead of me trying to make rivers, I would be trying to create islands. And this is the only difference from the 2 sides of the personal board. So if this is how my board looked at the end of the game, I would score 5 points for each island. So that's 5, 10, 15, 20. After taking their mandatory action, the first player can now take their 2 optional actions. The first action they can do is they could grab one of these animal cards from the face-up display and place it above their personal board. Now let's say based on the tokens that they grab, they decide that they're going to take this animal card here. All the animal cards have these numbered slots on the right hand side of the card, and these are potential points that you could score at the end of the game. So when you take an animal card, you're going to place it above your personal board in one of these 4 slots, and you can only have up to 4 animal cards at a time. And when you take an animal card, you're going to grab a number of animal cubes and place them into those slots out onto that card. So now the other optional action you can do is to place animal cubes out onto your board as long as you satisfy the arrangement of that animal card. So if you see this, it needs to have a home with a water token next to it. And that's why this player grabbed this. And it could be in any orientation. You can see the water can be here, water can be here or up here, as long as it's in that same arrangement. So let's say on the next turn, this player was able to get these tokens. So he decides he's going to place this here, making it a home. And then he decides to place this water here and this water here. So now he has satisfied that particular arrangement. So he's going to take the cube from the lowest slot on the animal card. And if you notice, he's done that 3 times. So he can place as many cubes out onto his personal board as many times as he's met the requirement. Once the first player has finished their turn, the central board will get refilled. And if there are any animal cards missing from the face-up display, we'll replace it with the next card. And then play will go to the next player. The end of the game will be triggered in one of 2 ways. If this pouch is empty of tokens when we go to refill the central board, or a player has 2 or less empty spaces on their personal board. Then we will make sure everyone has an equal amount of turns and the game will end. Using this score sheet that comes in the game, the players will first count up the number of points that they earn from the tokens placed out on their personal board. Of course, using this reference sheet. And then they will count up the points that they earned from their animal cards. And any animal cards that they haven't completed, they will score the number of points in the topmost spot on the right hand side that does not have an animal cube. And then any animal cards that they totally completed, they will score the number of points at the top. Once every player has counted up their points, whoever has the most points will be the winner of Harmonies. After the players have played the game a few times, these nature spirit cards can be added to the game. As part of setup, each player is going to get dealt 2 of these nature spirit cards, and they're going to pick one, placing it above their personal board, and return the other one to the box. Now remember, you have a 4 animal card limit to have above your personal board. So of course, this nature spirit will take up that space until you're actually able to place it onto the board. Now when you're able to do that, then that nature spirit is going to score that player bonus points that only they can score. So if you look at this guy here, that's the one that's on the cover of the box, you get him out on your board, he's going to score you 2 points for each single or pair of field tokens. And any field tokens that's group 3 or more, that's going to score 10 points. And that's in addition to what the field tokens already score. Or this guy, get him out there, he's going to score you 4 points for each tree that actually has a trunk. So any 2 stacks or 3 stacks is going to score you 4 extra points for each one. So as you know, I really gravitate toward nature themed games.
Actually, I do too.
And so whenever I come across one, I'm curious about whether or not Alicia is going to get into this one, because I'm always trying to get her into playing board games. And so when I first heard about Harmonies, I was excited to get this to the table.
Okay.
Because honestly, I was attracted to the aesthetics of this game.
Okay.
And that might be jumping ahead, but the theme, do you think the theme comes through in this game?
A little bit, somewhat.
Okay.
Well, how I think the theme comes through is what you have to, the configurations you have to attract the animals. I think, you might need a mountain and a tree to attract. And I don't know why I don't remember the actual animals, but you know what I'm saying.
No, I remember they got the prairie dogs. They have to be on the field, but it's near a mountain.
Yeah.
Or the frogs. They have a field, but then there's water.
Yes, yes.
And I really like that.
Yeah, I definitely think the theme comes through there.
And I think the theme comes through in how you place those tokens out onto your board.
Yes.
Because the mountains, they have to be, next to other mountains as a mountain range. You just don't have a mountain sitting in the middle of somewhere. They have to be next to other mountains in order to score. And then the trees, you actually have to have leaves.
Yes. Yes.
And the fields and the water that create the rivers, you can't put anything on top of those.
Yes.
So I think the theme comes through there. But as a whole, I think this is just really an abstract puzzle.
Yeah, I think the theme is a little bit more painted on.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I like that. But what do you think about the components, though? Speaking of those wooden tokens.
Okay, I like the chunkiness of them, because a lot of times games like this you have flat, so I do like the chunkiness of them. And I do like that the colors, like you can tell the water from the mountains, from the trees.
Oh, because of the screen printing. Yeah, I mean, I do like that. I like that they screen printed on both sides. But what I really like is it helps with color blindness.
Well,
You
I
know.
hadn't thought of that, but yeah, that's a consideration.
Yeah, I like that, and I just like the chunky wooden.
Yeah, I
token.
do like the chunkiness.
I will be honest, I love that. I think this game has great table presence. I think when people walk by and they see this and they're like, "What is that about?" You know, I really do like that, and I wish like the little cubes that represents the animals. I don't know. I wish it was something else they could do, but I don't know too much. I don't know what else. So, so I understand the cubes, you know, but
you
it
wish
just,
they had a little bit more character.
yeah, it's just something, but it adds to the puzzle, and
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
You know, now,
I'm gonna tell you what I did like.
okay.
I like that art. That art was, I don't know, it was interesting to me.
I mean, I really did enjoy it. It's unique because it feels like kind of like you took a background and then you found a picture of this animal and you cut it out and then you pasted it on that background. Like a collage
Yes,
or something like that.
yes.
I really do like the art in this game.
Yeah, I think that's a great analogy. It's like a collage, and it really just is more. It was interesting.
Yeah, it popped
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
So I did like that. Now here's the interesting one. All right, we're not going to talk too much about the mechanics because it's just open drafting. But what did you think about the gameplay?
All right, so what was funny to me is it felt familiar,
Yeah.
even though it was a different game. So I think for me, sometimes I like when the game feels familiar because it makes it easy for me to figure it out and understand it. But for some reason, it felt like it did what other games do, but it didn't grab me the way those other games have.
Now I think you hit the nail on the head with familiar because as I'm playing it, you know, this game, it just reminded me of other games. And all these games we still have in the collection. It reminded me of Calico. And how it reminded me of that is as you play the game, it starts getting tighter.
Yes.
You know, you start like, where I'm going to put these tokens, just like in Calico.
Yeah.
You know, so there's that crunchiness. And then Cascadia, of course, in Cascadia, you're building out your map, your habitats, but you're also building out, you know, placing your animals on the board. So you're scoring in both of those ways.
Yes.
You know, and you're doing that in this game also.
Exactly.
But with the exception of being tiled, you building out your map, you're actually building a 3D map.
Yeah.
You know, and then the one that I think is most like is Reef.
Yes. Yes.
Which is a game that we have not played for a long time. But it, like I said, it's still in the collection, and I want to revisit Reef.
So I think for me that probably is the issue because it feels so familiar. For me, it didn't bring necessarily anything new and fresh. It's not that I disliked it. It's not that I didn't enjoy it. But given my experience with other games, I was like, what does this have that I don't already get in something else?
I get it. Because I know in Cascadia, you prefer building out your map.
Yes.
You know, instead of building it up.
Yes.
You know, and I definitely get it. And I think like, so I honestly think this is a really, really good game. I enjoy it because it really adds a little bit more puzzle for me. And that's what I look for in a game. Like I mentioned Cascadia. As it gets tighter, you're drafting that one tile. Okay? And you can only put that tile on one spot out on your quilt.
Yeah.
You know, in this game.
You mean Calico?
Yeah, in Calico. I'm sorry. I did say Cascadia, Calico. And But in this game, the board's getting tighter, you're still drafting 3 tokens. And now you got to figure out where I'm going to put these tokens at that's advantageous for me to score points. And I'm also trying to find a synergy of the animals. Like, you're drafting those animals and you're trying to do a combo where you place them tokens down, you get to place a cube here, cube here, cube here in the same turn.
I get what you're saying, and I guess that's, for me, I never kind of got that feeling of trying to get that synergy. Like, I get conceptually that's what you're doing, but it just never, I just never got into it like that.
Oh, I was into it.
Yes, you were. Yes, you
I
were.
was into it,
And I don't know, like, both, you compared them to Calico and Cascadia. The thing that was different for me about Harmonies also is, while the individual pieces look okay, when Cascadia, when I'm done with that, I just feel like I've created a masterpiece, and I just want to admire.
You just like building out your map.
I do, and I'm like, let me look at this for a minute.
But see,
Even Calico, I kind of have that. I didn't get quite that same rush with this.
Oh,
game.
I did. I love building my 3D landscape and being able to attract those animal cubes. I played this at solo, played it 2-player with you. I played it 3-player. I haven't played 4-player yet, but I'm looking forward to it. But I really do like that feeling of at the end. I don't want to break it down. I want to let it sit there for a while.
It didn't. It didn't give me that rush.
But so something you said, it just made me think about, like, I watched this YouTube video. I think it's Alex from Board Game Co.
Okay.
And he did a video where he was talking about new games are for new people.
Okay.
And I know, as being in the board game hobby, the more games you play, the more games you're going to see that are familiar to other games.
Okay.
So, and I'm always on the hunt for games that stand out.
Okay.
And I think what makes this game stand out is the fact that, the game is aesthetically beautiful on the table, in my opinion. I really do like that.
It's charming, but
I know.
It doesn't have that beauty for me.
Yeah, but it does. It does for me, and I really like it. And like I said, it brings a next level puzzle.
Okay.
Complexity.
Okay.
For me, and like I said, you're trying to place all those 3 tiles.
Okay.
And so this is a perfect example of what he said was new games are for new gamers.
Okay.
Because one of the friends that I introduced this game to when I mentioned that this was reminding me of Cascadia, she actually had never played Cascadia, she never played Calico, and she never played Reef.
Okay.
But she loved this game.
Okay.
So I get where you're coming from.
She didn't have anything to compare it to, so on its own, standing alone without being compared,
yeah,
it's a solid game. But for me, it's not that it's anything wrong or lacking so much in this game. It's just that I'm constantly comparing it to something else, and it's not something fresh or new for me.
Right. No, and I understand that.
Okay.
But for me, like I said, it just, does this make me want to get rid of Calico or Cascadia? No. I love Calico, and I love Cascadia, and I love Reef. That's why we still have them.
But you get something new from this game.
Yeah, I do get something new.
Okay.
Despite the familiarity that I have with all these other games.
Yeah.
And I think that for people who have not played like Calico or who have not played Reef, now, it would be a surprise if somebody hasn't played Cascadia, it being a Spiel des Jahres winner. But it's just, I think that new person would love this game. It's
Okay.
easy to teach, easy to set up, you know, and the reference card, they got all that stuff that you can understand how to place everything. So I really, really like this game.
Okay.
You know, now but I also understand what you're saying.
Okay.
So, all right. Overall, I guess we got like a split decision.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I'm gonna have fun. Like I said, I've done played this game about 6, 7 times already, and I really enjoy it.
So let me just say this. For me, like, if I play a game and enjoy it enough, I don't necessarily need something that's too familiar to that. I think he's different. I think he is disposed, even if it's familiar, he's disposed to find something enjoyable about it. But
I get it.
Yeah.
And like I said, I play enough games that something's always gonna be familiar to me.
Yeah, see, I get overwhelmed with too much. So if I got 2 or 3 games that's already like this, I'm good.
Yeah, like I said, something's always going to be familiar.
Okay.
You know, I play so many worker placement games, so many drafting games, and so I am a hardcore gamer. And so this game is just, it does. I found, like I said, what sets it apart from those other games is the table presence, the aesthetic beauty as when you're finished building it, you know, that 3D landscape.
Okay.
And like I said, that added complexity.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
So, all right. So, like I said, we're at a split. The game is great. She thinks the game is good. I think the game is great, and I really enjoy Harmonies. And there you have it. I definitely think if you are a new gamer, I think this game is for is people, new gamers, who are looking for something to play with their family. Because I think this is a great game to play with families. It's a great, like, entry level. You know, I think it's a great entry level game.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
You know. So, that's what we think about Harmonies. If you like the contents of this video, feel free to hit the like button. Subscribe.
Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
I'm Dwayne.
I'm Alicia.
This has been Blackboard Gaming.
We will see you next time.